Thank you very much for having me here, Alex and Mutu. Yeah, thanks for putting on these events and bringing everyone together. It's a real privilege to be here. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about reality capture, drones, analytics. Really talk a bit about DroneDeploy and our product and how we're kind of targeting the AEC construction industry and some of the problems we're aiming to solve and some of the kind of product we've built and the solutions we're building to solve those problems. Bit about myself. I'm Jeremy. I'm Director of Engineering at DroneDeploy. I've been at DroneDeploy since almost the beginning of the company, about 7 or so years ago, and it's been a really, really fun, exciting ride, not just being part of a kind of technology startup in a really exciting technical space, but also being part of the kind of growth of the drone industry. When we started 7 or 8 years ago, drones were kind of these hobbyist toys almost with a lot of potential, and we were tinkering around getting drones to fly, and the early partners and customers we worked with were kind of real innovators and just the kind of early adopters who were part of early innovation groups at some companies. And we fast forward all the way to today, where we see drone fleets being rolled out across the majority of the kind of top construction companies, the ENR 400 and most large companies around the world, with hundreds, if not thousands, of drones in these kind of large fleets. It's been really exciting to see how the drone industry itself has grown and evolved over that time, and really kind of changed the landscape of many different industries. And so really focusing on the construction industry, what are some of the big challenges we see being faced by the construction industry and companies there? And so a lot of it is coordination. There's multiple teams, many different subcontractors, one day after the other. So just coordination and organization. Dangerous working conditions and the need for daily inspections combined means that you have a lot of people put in harm's way, or if not in harm, then just things which take a very long time, very slow and expensive to do. And the requirements for daily inspections means you have the qualified folks, the kind of few qualified people who can do those inspections have to travel long distances and have to go around entire large job sites. So a lot of these kind of add up to a lot of significant challenges faced in the construction industry. And what do these challenges impact? Well, the main kind of goals we have that these kind of challenges are working against are at top level productivity and keeping projects on time and on budget. And I think there's a quote or a statistic thrown around I've seen where it's something like 80% of construction projects are run over time and over budget. So that's obviously a huge one. If we can improve that, that's a huge financial saving there. And documentation, to maintaining a source of truth for not just the kind of what the design is and how the project should go, but also what the current state of it is. It's often very difficult to find out exactly how far through are we, what's the kind of state of progress of the construction project. And finally, accessibility. So once we have that information, how do we get that to all the important stakeholders, the owners, the project managers, the owners of the construction business, making sure that all of that information is up to date and accessible to everyone are some of the kind of real challenges there. And so how do we overcome these? How do we get past this? And so the approach that we're targeting and DroneDeploy kind of provides is reality capture and digitization. And so it's capturing that entire reality, taking from the kind of geographically dispersed, large-scale, real-world job sites, and bringing those online into the cloud to perform that analysis and make that much simpler. And so what is reality capture? Well, it's creating a kind of digital twin. And so being able to have that kind of digital replica of reality available online for you to perform those kind of analyses and no longer having to do a lot of that kind of manual inspections itself. And while kind of having digital twins or having a digital version of some part of the job site has been around for a long time with kind of more traditional surveying methods, one of the big improvements that the kind of drones provide and these digital solutions provide are that these can be done far more easily, far more rapidly, and therefore far more frequently. And so we can now start to have these kind of digital twins produced on a daily basis, meaning that kind of inspections can be run far more frequently. And so a brief overview of what the kind of product DroneDeploy does and provides, and the idea is it kind of provides that entire workflow from beginning to end. And that is the acquisition of that digital data, whether that's with flying drones and taking photos and panos and videos, or taking 360 videos, 360 photos as well, which I'll talk a little bit more about a bit later on. Now we've got that data, how to turn it into something useful. Well, we have a cloud processing engine, so you upload all of that data to our cloud processing platform, turn that into useful assets, whether that's 3D models, orthomosaics, elevation models, point clouds, video walkthroughs, streamable videos, that kind of stuff. But now we've got these kind of pretty pictures and nice models. What do we do with that? Well, we now have to perform analysis. We have to do measurements, annotations, comparing, counting, preparing reports, and sharing. So all of those tools are, again, based on our cloud platform, allowing you to kind of do that from anywhere in the world. And so it doesn't have to be the person on site anymore. You can have that analysis being done back in the office. And again, that's now, we've done some analysis, we've got some measurements, but still, that's not the desired end result. The desired end result is taking some action from that data. And so that could be sharing a report with the relevant stakeholders or the project owners, producing actions and work orders, which are pushed into kind of construction management software, and kind of updating the progress reporting. So all of those parts, those kind of represent the full life cycle of taking action from this kind of digital twin and this reality capture. And all of those steps are kind of available inside DroneDeploy. And this is a bit of kind of the evolution of how we've worked. And again, the way we've moved here is kind of allowing us this kind of digital twin, or producing this digital twin of more parts or phases of the construction site over time. And as we kind of started out with drones and drone mapping, a lot of the use cases were around surveying, doing aerial surveys, looking at kind of mapping large areas of land when they're figuring out where you're going to dig out earth to start construction, or measuring stockpiles, that kind of stuff. So there's kind of top-down aerial mapping, but that's only relevant for certain phases of the construction process. And as we move further on, maybe we're having high-rise construction, we now need to do those kind of vertical inspections. And so we added vertical facade mapping. That was kind of a couple of years ago, and 3D inspections. So now to actually kind of replace having people climbing on ropes down the sides of buildings and up in cranes and things like that. But that obviously doesn't cover the whole job site. We still have the interior of buildings, and the majority of the issues found on the interior of buildings during construction, as you're putting up electrical or plumbing or what have you. So that's why we launched our 360 walkthrough product last year, allowing you to actually go through and produce, do those kind of inspections on the interior of buildings. As you see, over time, we're kind of adding on more and more layers to this kind of site, digital recreation of the site, to allow you to digitally inspect all different aspects of the construction process from beginning to end. So talk a little bit more about the 360 walkthrough product, as it's kind of a newer product, and I'd assume most folks here are very familiar with drone mapping and producing the kind of 3D models and flying drones around and having that kind of mapping. But I think the 360 walkthrough is certainly a fair bit newer than that. And so again, as I was saying before, this really allows you to go and perform those inspections on the inside of buildings, kind of the main use case there. And so the idea is you walk through your job site, with a 360 camera, and that's taking 360 videos. That's where kind of every single frame is a full 360 panorama, basically. And then you can upload that to DroneDeploy. We kind of process that. As you saw, there's the squiggly line there that shows the actual path you walk through, allows you to go and then swipe through and jump through, go forwards and backwards in time, move to any point on your walkthrough, and pause and look around in all directions. And so that allows you to then go back, or have someone else back in the office go through and perform that walkthrough and look for things that maybe weren't caught by the person doing the original inspection. The other benefit of that is also compare and change over time. So you can perform the same walkthrough of the site kind of on multiple days as the project's progressing, and look at what's changed from one day to the next. Compare the new construction that's happened, and oftentimes this really benefits because people say, "Oh, hang on, we've put up this wall, but did we put up all the electrical inside it? Was the insulation put up? What have you?" And a lot of time that means just pulling down that wall and starting again. But this kind of this recreation, this having this record over time, allows you to just have a lot more confidence and go back and actually check that without having to kind of go on site or even delay your project. So that's been a really exciting product that, again, is targeting the inside of the construction site, but also I'm seeing a huge amount of adoption there across the industry. And so what are the benefits of some of this site digitization and creating this digital twin? Well, as I said before, one of the important parts about site monitoring is doing these inspections. And before, if you have, the expert has to be on site doing that inspection, you're very limited there because there's a limited number of those people who can perform those inspections, and the sites are huge. You might have many different projects geographically dispersed. So there's just kind of a physical limit to how often those inspections can be performed. But with drone mapping and creating these this reality capture, it doesn't need to be the few experts on site going around. We can have people, a drone pilot or anyone really holding a 360 camera, just walking around the site or mapping it with drone. And then you can have those experts back in the office looking at these kind of digital replicas of multiple different sites. So it really enables that increased inspection frequency, which again is driving keeping projects on time. As we said, they're having increasing that kind of visibility. So now we've got that digital twin, the digital replica, which is hosted online. It means that anyone can go and view it, which means, again, you can have the people back in the office doing the analysis. It can be shared to the kind of project owners, and it's all in one place. And all the information is there and accessible and easy to access. And finally, kind of improve communication. So as I said before, the end goal is producing actions, and we take some actions or produce some results as a result of the inspections themselves. And so one of the most important things is, once we do those analysis, perform those inspections on digital twins, we're finding issues. And so you can see in the image above here, you're tagging a particular issue, but then it's not necessarily that useful to have that just sitting inside DroneDeploy. That's just another piece of software to learn and use when we already have construction management platforms like Procore or Autodesk, which are being widely used across the construction industry. So it's really important to be able to push that data, that information, and those work orders into those kind of platforms which are already being used for the other aspects of the construction process. And so that's a large part of what we've done working with folks in the construction industry, is making sure we can get the data into those platforms being regularly used as part of their process today. And finally, reduced rework and disputes. I touched on this when I was talking about the 360 walkthroughs a little bit, but as well as using these kind of digital replicas for digital twins for keeping track of the progress, making sure the project's being completed on time, and making sure there are no safety issues, it's actually incredibly useful to have this kind of digital record and these snapshots of the project over time, so that you can go back. And a lot of this comes back to kind of rework and disputes, where people say, oh, maybe this was not done properly and it's going to have to be redone, or we're going to there's going to be a legal challenge here. We've actually had some of our customers who have saved millions or potentially tens of millions in legal disputes because they're able to go back and say, no, like here is a map or here's a model of the site on day 3 where we put the foundations in according to spec, and able to kind of just end the conversation there. It's a huge time saver and potentially a cost saver as well. So that's been incredibly useful, just to have that kind of digital record of the sites as well. And finally, obviously, reducing the project risk, not just in terms of the running over time and over budget, but also on a safety point of view. And that's one of the biggest factors kind of driving the choice in construction industry, and is ensuring you have a good safety record and making sure everyone's safe on the site, and reducing the amount of manual inspections and dangerous inspections people have to perform is incredibly powerful. And that's been one of the real kind of driving factors for the use of drones, especially around the kind of 3D inspection side of things. So where are we going? Where are we going with DroneDeploy with our product, and where do we see the kind of drones and this digital replicas going with the construction industry? Well, firstly, it's improving those digital replicas. One of the really exciting things about DroneDeploy being a kind of cloud platform is that as the hardware and the technology and the sensors improve with all the different hardware manufacturers, different companies producing those, the kind of product and the solution that we can provide gets better and better. And so it's really exciting, today with the newest iPhones, which have LiDAR scanners inbuilt, you can actually go out and produce a 3D model of a small part of the job site right there without special equipment or special training. And potentially everyone on the job site has a LiDAR scanner in their pocket now. We talked about 360 cameras. Those are a little bit newer technology, but the kind of resolution and quality of those improving over time. And that's really just going to add to the fidelity of those kind of 360 inspections you can do. And finding the kind of more traditional high quality and kind of wider range LiDAR, and having that kind of really high accuracy 3D reconstruction of the site. So where we're kind of going is just bringing more and more and more of this data in. So if we can have access to higher quality, higher fidelity, higher accuracy 3D data about the construction site, faster and kind of more easily, that means we have these higher quality digital twins, which gives us more information, allows us to perform the analysis better. So that's one of the ways we see this kind of this industry going, this technology going. And next, what about how we acquire that data? As I mentioned before, one of the real benefits of drone mapping, one of the things we've really aimed to do at DroneDeploy, is simplifying that inspection process. So making it as easy as possible to go and acquire the data and create those 3D maps, that digital twin. And today with DroneDeploy, it's very easy as a pilot. If you have a Part 107 license, you go out there, and actually creating the map or 3D model is as simple as honestly a single click to kind of launch the drone and go out there. But still, you do have that pilot. You do have someone who's gone through Part 107 training and has to go out there and be on site for maybe even half an hour to go and perform that inspection. And that still becomes a limiting factor, because that's training, that's the specialization. And so our vision of this is that we have this capture being done regularly on every single job site. And so how do we simplify that? Well, that's moving to full autonomy. And so one of the things we really excited to kind of partner with some of the hardware providers on are things like drones in boxes. So the vision there is having a drone docked in a charging box on every single job site, taking off automatically once a day, potentially once an hour, and just mapping the whole construction site without the need to kind of book a pilot to go out there and do that inspection themselves. And likewise on the ground robotics, we've got today 360 walkthroughs with people with cameras, but we've all seen a lot of really exciting videos from Boston Dynamics with the dancing robots, and we're working closely with them on actually realizing that kind of full automated inspection. And that's the vision there, is we have walking robots or even rolling robots going around through the other areas of the construction site, through the indoor, and performing those inspections automatically every day or even every hour. And so the idea is we just have far more data, far more of these inspections coming through fully automatically. And finally, what do we do with that data? So we talked about kind of fully automatic, high quality digital twins being captured regularly, but those are still kind of pretty pictures, and what we need to do is perform the analysis, find the issues, produce the actions from that. And so looking at kind of automated analysis and machine learning to take those digital inspections and, for example, come up with a progress report. We are X% through, or we are this far behind schedule at this point in the process, or there are these issues, there is this damage found, there are these safety concerns found on the job site. And if we can add in that kind of automation, that machine learning piece in there to automatically detect that, now the first interaction that we have as humans, as people who kind of who are running, project managing the job site, is we get that action report. So we have the fully automated drone or walking robot capture, acquisition, analysis, and then we get a report saying, this is where you are, you need to have someone go out and look at this or inspect this area. So that's definitely kind of where we're going, is full automation, just simplifying that entire end-to-end process. Okay, I think that's the all I had for you today. Did want to announce, plug our conference. We're going to be announcing, it's our kind of annual user conference, which comes in October, where we will be announcing a lot of exciting new features and functionality and some exciting news there. So that's, I think we're aiming for 5,000 registrants this year, if I'm correct. So yeah, it's a very big online conference. So I encourage you all to register and attend that as well. And with that, I'll take a pause for any questions you might have.